What's up, pilots? In today's video, we are finally doing my Titanfall 2 weapon tier list in 2023. Now, a few months back, I did my Titan tier list, and now we are doing my weapon tier list. But before we go any further, just know this is my personal tier list, so don't give me any hate. Your list is probably going to be different than mine, and that's totally fine. This is just my personal weapon tier list in Titanfall 2, so let's get it. All right, so to start this whole thing off, the first class of weapons we're going to be looking at is the assault rifles. And the first AR on the list is going to be the R201 carbine. This is a fully automatic hit scan, high accuracy weapon. And yes, we're going to be taking a look at whether the weapons are hit scan or projectile, because that makes a huge difference. And if you do not know what hit scan is, essentially it's infinite bullet velocity. If you're aiming down your sights or hit fire and you have your target in your crosshair, if you pull the trigger, it is going to be an instant hit marker. So obviously that makes a huge difference with weapons. Now, the R201 carbine is one of my favorite weapons to use in the game. It does have very bouncy recoil, but once you lock that in, this thing absolutely fries. It does a decent amount of damage. Hip fire accuracy isn't too bad. It's just an all-around good weapon. Now, where does that leave the R201 carbine in my tier list? For me personally, because it is one of my favorite weapons and I am biased, I'm going to have to put this bad boy in the A tier. It would be S tier if it had a bit more damage, but because of that, I have to put it in the A tier. It's just an all-around great weapon to use. All right, next we're going to be looking at the R101 carbine, which is the exact same thing as the R201, but it has a built-in optic. Obviously, I love the R101 as well. I love the optic on this thing. I feel like it's easier to control than the R201. Maybe it's just in my head. So obviously, I'm going to put the R101 with the R201 in the A tier because I both love these rifles. Obviously, it's full auto, high accuracy, hit scan, just like the R201. All right, guys, next we're going to be taking a look at the Hemlock BFR Burst Fire Hit Scan Assault Rifle. This weapon I personally love. The only problem is it's not very good if you're playing really aggressively. The hip fire accuracy is really bad, and obviously it's a burst gun, so it's hard to be super accurate up close. They're flying around and jumping all over the place. I use this weapon if I'm bored and I'm on a big map and I kind of just want to burst fire snipe some people. So for that, I'm going to put the Hemlock in the B tier. It's just an all-around good weapon. It's just not the best in the game. It's kind of like smack dab right in the middle. Definitely a good weapon, just not the best. All right, guys, next we're going to be looking at the G2A5 semi-automatic precision hit scan DMR rifle. Now, this thing is a beast if you land your shots with it. It is hit scan, so you could just snipe people across the map with it. But for me personally, I'm just not a big fan of this weapon, mainly because it's really hard to play aggressive with it. I mean, you can. I'm just not a fan of semi-automatic guns, especially in a Titanfall game. So for me personally, I'm going to put it in the C tier. And the reason why it's not in the D tier, because this thing does shred if you know how to use it properly. All right, last on the list for assault rifles, we are looking at the V47 Flatline. This is a fully automatic hit scan assault rifle with a punch. This is one of my favorite assault rifles in the game. It does have a weird side-to-side recoil, but once you lock that recoil in and you know how to control it, this thing is an absolute menace in the frontier. So for me personally, the Flatline obviously is going in the S tier because it is by far the best assault rifle and one of the best weapons in the game, period. All right, next on the list is going to be the submachine guns. And the first on the list, the first SMG on the list is going to be the Car SMG, which is by far, in my opinion, one of the most broken guns in the game. It's got the best up-close damage. It absolutely fries everything. Its long-range damage isn't the best, but it is hit scan, and it has no recoil, so you can just land every single one of your shots. The Car is the jack of all trades. You can only use the Car in this game and be successful in any map. It is by far the best gun in the game, so obviously we're going to put the Car in S tier. The Car SMG is kind of frowned upon in the game. There's a couple guns that are frowned upon in the game, and the Car is one of them because of how powerful and easy it is to use. So obviously, Car SMG, S tier, moving on. All right, next we're going to be taking a look at the tried and true Alternator. This is a twin barrel hit scan SMG. It does have a slow fire rate, but this thing hits like an absolute Mack truck. It also has perfect hip fire accuracy. I mean, pretty much all submachine guns have perfect hip fire accuracy, but moving on. The Alternator is just a tried and true weapon. It's one of my favorite SMGs in the game, and it's a fan favorite in the franchise. For me personally, though, I'm going to put it in the A tier. It is like between S and A, but I have to put it in the A tier. It's an all-around great gun. but for me personally, it is an A tier weapon. All right, next on the list, we're going to be taking a look at the Volt, which is an energy, I think I might chalk this, actuated SMG. This bad boy shoots electric hit scan projectiles, and it is my favorite SMG in the game. It's not as good as the car technically, but for some reason, I absolutely shred with the Volt. It is by far my go-to SMG in this game, so obviously I'm going to put it in the S tier. And I know some people are going to be like, Alternator over the Volt in the S tier. I don't know, man. I just shred with the Volt. I've always shredded with the Volt. The Volt is going into the S tier on my list. Next, moving on. All right, and last but not least, we're going to be taking a look at the R97 Rapid Fire SMG. And yes, it is also hit scan. Now, this thing up close is an absolute animal. The problem is at range, it suffers because of its really bad accuracy. I exclusively use this weapon on glitch or any map that's super close quarters. This is definitely an aggressive weapon to use. And if you use it very aggressively, it'll absolutely fry everybody in the lobby. But because of its bad accuracy at range, instead of S tier, I have to put this bad boy into the A tier because this thing, it fries. It just has really bad accuracy. So R97, A tier, moving on. All right, next we're going to be taking a look at LMGs. And first on the list for LMGs is everyone's favorite weapon in the game, everyone's favorite gun they like to go up against, and that's going to be the Spitfire LMG. This is a steady fire rate, hit scan, hard-hitting beast of an LMG. This weapon is absolutely 100% broken. It always has been, and it always will be. This is another weapon that is very frowned upon to use in the Titanfall community. I mean, don't sweat it. If you like the Spitfire, use it. I personally don't use it much, and that's just because it's just so easy to use. It's just not satisfying. But the Spitfire 100% is an S tier weapon. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's an S tier weapon. My only complaint with the Spitfire is it's not very good if you're super aggressive and up in their faces. The hipfire accuracy is bad, and the zoom, even with the iron sights, the stock sights, is so far in that you could lose track of your target if you ADS. So that's my only complaint about it. But because it's so disgustingly overpowered, I have to put the Spitfire in the S tier. All right, next on the list is going to be the L-Star, which is a rapid fire energy projectiled LMG. This is another one of my favorite weapons to use in Titanfall 2, and that's because it is just so satisfying to use. The projectiles are very slow, but once you learn the trajectory of those projectiles and you land your shots with this thing, it is an absolute menace. And when you do land your shots, especially at range, if you land your shots, you know, someone's flying down, they're like 50 meters out, and you just beam them with this thing, there's nothing more satisfying than getting a kill with the L-Star. But because the projectile speed is so slow and it is so hard to use, I'm going to put this bad boy in B tier. It's kind of between A and B, but for me personally, I'm going to put it in the B tier. All right, last but not least on the LMG tier list, we're going to be taking a look at the X55 Hit Scan Devotion LMG. Now, this bad boy ramps up fire rate over time, and essentially what that means is it starts off with a really slow fire rate, and then after a couple seconds, this thing's shooting faster than an MG42 from World War II. And when that bad boy is shooting faster, it absolutely deletes pilots off the face of the frontier. It also has zero recoil. The only problem is if you play aggressively and you barrel stuff somebody, they have a car SMG, you have a Devotion, you both aim and fire at the same time, the car is going to win, or any other weapon, because the first couple seconds you have a really slow fire rate. So you want to play with this weapon a bit more passively. You want to find a little perch, ADS, and just wait for pilots to come to you. But because of the slow fire rate, initially, I have to put this bad boy into C tier. But once the fire rate is popping, this thing is an S tier weapon, 100%. But because of the slow fire rate, C tier, moving on from LMGs. Next, we're going to be taking a look at the shotguns. There's only 2 shotguns, so let's get it. First, we're going to be looking at the Evo-8 Auto, fully automatic, hit scan. I believe it's hit scan. I could be wrong on that. I'm having a brain fart. I'm pretty sure it's hit scan shotgun. That was a long intro. This gun sucks. Personally, I don't like it. It's a 2-shot up close. You can be a demon with this thing. It is decent. Real quick, a lot of weapons in Titanfall 2 are balanced very well, except the Spitty in the car. So you can shred with the Evo-8. I just personally don't like it. I've never liked it, and I'm probably never going to use it again after this video. So because of that, I'm going to put it in the D tier. I don't like it. Moving on. Next, we're going to be taking a look at the Mastiff. This is an auto-loading shotgun with widespread. This shoots projectiles, very slow projectiles. It's very satisfying to use, but I absolutely suck with the Mastiff. I'm terrible with it. I don't know how people use this weapon so consistently. Like, I could be a meter from somebody, and I get a hit marker. And some dude will be like, phase dash, like 50 meters away, and he kills me with the thing. I don't know. I suck with the Mastiff. It is a demon weapon. Some demons are really good with this weapon, but for me personally, I suck with the Mastiff, and because of that, I have to put it in the C tier. It would be F tier for me personally. No, it's a little harsh. It would be D tier for me personally, but because I know it's really good and it is a decent weapon in the game, I have to put it in the C tier. I just suck with it, and that's fine. Trash me in the comments. Moving on from shotguns. All right, next we're going to be taking a look at the sniper rifles, and the first on the list is going to be the Kraber AP Sniper. I believe that means armored piercing sniper. Now, this is a projectiled weapon, and it is one of the most satisfying weapons to use in the game. I personally suck with the Kraber. I'm trying to get better with the Kraber, but some people in this game, the Kraber is, they're just bread and butter, and no matter what you do, they're going to land the shot and they're going to kill you, literally no matter what, no matter how fast you move, no matter if you they could snipe you during a phase dash somehow. I don't know how they do it, but they do. But the Kraber is by far one of the best weapons in the game if you know how to use it. Okay, now where do I rank the Kraber in my tier list? Kraber pilots, of course, the really good ones, it's going to be S tier. But for me, it's going to be A tier, and that's because I suck with the Kraber. So Kraber is going to be A tier on the list. I'm probably going to get some hate for that, but okay, moving on. Next, we're going to be taking a look at the D2 double take twin fire projectiled sniper rifle. Now, this thing is a 2-shot kill, 1-shot headshot kill. The projectiles are extremely slow, but it is satisfying to use. I will give it credit. The double take is satisfying to use. I just personally don't like it. I kind of think it's trash. So for me personally, I'm going to put the double take in the D tier. Obviously, you can be really good with this weapon, learn the projectile and everything like that. But for me personally, double take is going to be in the D tier. Moving on, last but not least with the sniper rifles, we are looking at the Longbow DMR semi-automatic hit scan 1-shot headshot semi-automatic assault rifle. I think I said that twice, but that's fine. The Longbow DMR is very good. I just don't like it personally. I've always hated the DMR. I just don't like the way the scope is. I don't know what it is. I don't like the DMR. I kind of wish it had projectiles. I think it would be easier to use personally, but because of the hit scan, I don't know. There's just something about it. I don't like the Longbow DMR, but it is a damn fine weapon. So because of that, I have to put it in the C tier. For a lot of people, it's going to be A, B, and maybe even S. But for me personally, Longbow DMR, C tier. Moving on from the sniper rifles. All right, next we're going to be taking a look at the Grenader class. And the first on the list in the Grenader class is going to be the Sidewinder SMR. This rapidly fires micro missiles, projectile missiles, mind you. Now, this weapon, it does a decent job at killing pilots, but for me personally, I just don't think it's very good. There are some pilots that shred with this bad boy, and I've had some decent games with it. It's fun to use. I just don't think it's the best weapon in the game. So for me personally, I'm putting it in the D tier. I know I said it's a decent weapon. It probably should be in C tier, but I don't know. I just think there's better options in the Grenader class. So for me personally, Sidewinder is going into the D tier. All right, next on the list, we're going to be taking a look at the EPG-1. This is a projectile single fire direct energy propelled launcher. This thing is an absolute menace if you know how to use it. It is a 1-shot kill if you land a projectile directly. It also has a ton of splash damage, so you can just fly up in the air and just start shooting these energy explosive balls down on pilots and just shred with this thing. It is a very skilled weapon to use, but once you get it down, this bad boy absolutely shreds. Now, for me personally, I have to put the EPG in the B tier. Now, I know a lot of people are going to hate me because of that. It might get an upgrade once I get this thing down to probably an A tier, but as of right now, for me personally, this thing is a B tier weapon, and that's because it is so hard to use. Moving on. All right, next we're going to be taking a look at the R6P softball. This is an adhesive grenade launcher. Essentially, shoots grenades, projectile obviously, and it sticks to surfaces. So you can one-shot pilots with this thing. The problem is, I hate this weapon. I don't think it's very good. I think it's one of the worst weapons in the game. I might get a lot of hate for that. Yes, you can shred with it technically if you learn how to use it properly, but I think you're just better off with the EPG. I think there's no reason to take the softball over the EPG. I personally hate the softball, so I have to put it in the F tier. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate from that from softball mains, but I'm sorry. This is my opinion. I think the softball sucks. Moving on. Next, we're going to be taking a look at the EM4 Cold War. This is a 4-round burst grenader weapon. It shoots 4 little projectile grenade launchers. The only problem is there's a charge up time to shoot. It's very short. Projectile speed is terrible, which it should be. It's a grenader. I don't like the softball. I dreaded getting clips for this thing. Yes, pilots shred with it, but for me personally, I cannot stand the Cold War. I think the EPG or the SMR is the better option. So for me personally, I'm sorry guys, I really am. Don't hate me. I have to put the Cold War in F tier. It's kind of between F and D. Obviously, there's some pilots that make it S tier, but for me, it's going to be F tier. All right, last but not least, the last class we're looking at is primary pistols. I forgot to mention in the beginning of the video, I am not mentioning any secondary weapons in this tier list. This is strictly primary. So the first one we're looking at is the Wingman Elite, which is an upgraded version of the secondary Wingman. Now, the Wingman Elite is an extended range projectile, first time it said that, pistol with a stock scope. I personally love the Wingman Elite. It's a 2-shot kill. I think it's 3-shot at far ranges, I believe. I'm pretty sure it is. It is a 1-shot headshot. I just love the Wingman Elite. It's very, very satisfying to use. The hip fire accuracy is just as accurate as the aim down sight accuracy, and it 1-shot headshots. Like, this thing is an absolute beast, but it is very hard to use. But once you learn how to use this thing, I'm telling you, you're gonna love the Wingman Elite. So for me personally, where does the Wingman Elite land on the tier list? I have to put this bad boy in A tier. Between S and A, but for me personally, I'm putting this bad boy in the A tier. Now, last but not least, last weapon we're doing on the tier list video, and that's going to be the SA3 Mozambique. This is a controlled spread, triple barrel projectiled shotgun pistol. What do I have to say about the Mozambique? It's pretty damn good if you know how to use it. I personally hate it. Never really liked it, and I'm never going to use it again after this video. That's a promise. But yes, you can shred with this thing. It's a decent little shotgun. Now, where does that land on my tier list? The Mozambique, for me personally, is going to be in the D tier. I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for that, but it's just my personal opinion. I do not like the Mozambique, but it is a decent weapon. It's not absolute trash. I'd probably say it's between C and D. You can shred with it, but I don't know. I just personally do not like the Mozambique. Well, that's going to do it, guys. That is my Titanfall 2 weapon tier list in 2023. If you have made it this far, honestly, thank you. This is a very long video, I'm sure. I don't know how long it's going to be yet because I'm just recording the audio, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be long, so thank you for sticking around. But if you ended up enjoying the video, please drop a like, subscribe if you are brand new. I will leave my Twitter and my Discord linked in the description below. And obviously, let me know your thoughts and opinions on my weapon tier list down below. Please go easy on me. I know tier list videos can get pretty hostile, so just let me know your feelings down below. Just don't hate me too much. I mean, if you want to, that's fine. But again, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, guys, Stern out.